What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video of Hit Squad Productions. Today, we're going to go over the 2021 New York Giants opponents. Looking at the schedule, it definitely looks a lot more favorable than the schedule that we just went through this year. I'm not saying it's going to be a cakewalk. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's definitely more favorable at this current moment. Now, this isn't taking into consideration the draft or free agency because that hasn't happened. Some of these teams don't have a head coach. At the moment, actually, no, excuse me, one of them doesn't, and that's going to be the Atlanta Falcons. But it's definitely more favorable. So let's go over it, and then we're going to go over each team individually to where, I think that, these are winnable games or games that, we could be in, but, we might lose. So at home, outside of the NFC East, of course, we have the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Denver Broncos, and the LA Rams. Away, outside of the NFC East, we have the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints, and the Chicago Bears. Now, looking at this, right, the Atlanta, they have talent on that team, but their issue is they don't have a good defense. Matt Ryan is getting up there in age. Their head coach was pretty incompetent, but he was good. He was seen as a good defensive coordinator. They're in rebuild mode. Believe it or not, they are in rebuild mode. I know Atlanta Falcons fans. I have a couple friends that are Atlanta Falcons fans, and they are telling me the same thing, that they believe that they're going to get a quarterback this year in the draft, which is kind of crazy because I don't think Matty Ice is that bad. He can still put up yards. He can still go win you games. Julio Jones, he's a beast, but he's been riddled with injuries, unfortunately. Calvin Ridley, who went to my high school, he's a monster. He's a baller, but their defense unfortunately cost them games, and it's really upsetting. I could imagine for Falcons fans having to go through the things that they've had to go through. Now the Carolina Panthers, they did pretty solid this year. Now I don't know if they're going to go address the quarterback position or just keep Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously they put him, I believe it was on a three-year deal. If I'm wrong, please let me know down below. But I believe he was on a 3-year deal. But you can definitely tell he's not going to be the face of the franchise. They're going to have to, at some point, address that position. And with how rich this draft coming up is with the quarterback position, it's definitely something that you could consider, or they could go the linebacker route. Looking at the Las Vegas Raiders, now John Gruden is a great coach. He's a good coach. He has a Super Bowl under him, but under him being the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, they haven't really done anything. There's been some promise, but then there's a lot to look at where it's just like, their defense is holding them back, or, they didn't have weapons, and now, they get some weapons, but now their defense is still holding them back. And I see other YouTubers that I follow that cover the Raiders, and they're talking about how their defense is an issue. And I can completely see that. I think that, the Khalil Mack trade was a win-win for each side, but obviously I think Chicago won that. Defensively, the Raiders have not been the same since releasing Khalil Mack. So I think that's definitely something that, the Giants could take advantage of going into next year. I think that, I think the Raiders may address the defensive side. We don't know what's going to happen with Derek Carr. I think that he'll stay with Oakland, Las Vegas, but I'm just not sure what they're going to do in the offseason. But I think the Giants, with them addressing the wide receiver position, getting Saquon Barkley back, and with how our defense is playing, it's definitely a favorable game. Now, Denver is in a position to where, they have Drew Lock, but Drew Lock just doesn't feel like he's the answer. That's been a problem since Peyton Manning has retired with the Broncos. They haven't been able to get the quarterback position right. And it was actually announced today that John Elway, he got elevated in a higher position in the Broncos, leaving the GM position vacant. So they are going to most likely be in the market for a GM. They're going to start to rebuild. I don't think Drew Lock is the answer, and I really don't think that they're going to continue with Drew Lock. I think that they may address that position with their first-round pick. Now, looking at the LA Rams, we almost had them this year. We should have won that game. It was due to one blown coverage play, but, we should have won that game. And obviously with Dallas, I think that with what happened last night in the Philadelphia game, the New York Giants are going to play with a chip on their shoulders this year. The New York Giants are going to go into this game pissed, and they have a lot to play for this year, and I'm excited for what the New York Giants are going to do. Philadelphia, mark it down. And I will say this all year. The New York Giants are going to sweep Philly next season. I know that sounds bold. I know that sounds crazy. But with what happened last night, I think the New York Giants are going to make it a point to the Philadelphia Eagles that what they did was noted. So I'm really, really excited to play Philly this upcoming season. I think that all Giants fans should be. Washington, I think that, with Washington, they're one of those teams that I just kind of always put a check as a win. That's just how I see it. So looking at the away teams, Kansas City, that's a loss. Let's be honest with you. I don't think, even if we were to get an edge rusher, a solid number 2, we're stopping that Kansas City offense. Mahomes is easily the best quarterback in the league right now. You're just not stopping Kansas City. Looking at the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert, he broke the rookie touchdown record. And I think that he's a great quarterback. He's done well. They fired Anthony Lynn, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen. There is news that came out today that they are interested in Jason Garrett. And honestly, please, take Jason Garrett. I don't want Jason Garrett going into next year. Take Jason Garrett. I think he'll do well with Justin Herbert, and I think that as a head coach, I think that, him getting a new start, that'll really help him with his career, and, we'll see what happens. Now, Tampa, I might actually try to go to this game if we have fans in the stands this year, because this will actually be pretty close to me. But Tampa, I think the New York Giants are going to have a revenge game in that game. But, they also still have Tom Brady. We don't know if they're going to bring back Antonio Brown. That's still going to be a hard game regardless. So that's kind of up in the air. Same with the Saints. This most likely will be Drew Brees' last year. He signed the broadcasting contract. And it's believed that after the season, he's going to retire. So we don't know if Jameis Winston is going to take the helm. We don't know what's going to happen there. But Sean Payton is still an excellent coach. And, obviously with how the Saints have been this year and in recent years, I wouldn't expect the Giants to win that game, but we'll see what happens. Chicago, something with Chicago for the last, 3 times we've played them, it's been in Chicago. Why can't it be in New York? That pisses me off, but whatever. I think, we should have won that game this year. Unfortunately, we didn't, and that was the game that Saquon went down. Broke my heart. But I think that Saquon may want to rebound from that game and really try to prove a point. I'm marking this as a Saquon game. And then you have Dallas and obviously Philly and Washington. But guys, going over this, it's a lot more favorable than the schedule that we just played this year. Considering that outside of the division, 5 of the teams that we played went to the playoffs this year. That's insane. And in most of them, we held our own. So I'm excited for the 2021 New York Giants. I'm really excited for this schedule. Let me know your thoughts below. What are you guys thinking? How do you guys feel about this? We're going to provide more content. For me, New York Giants is 12 months. It's not 5 months. It's 12 months. We're going to go over the draft. We're going to go over rumors, free agency, everything, guys. So don't worry. The content will keep rolling. Let me know your thoughts below. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts below.